Doc, for the turmeric,
Yes.
how much?
Uh-huh.
I forgot. I didn't see that one. How much mg per day?
It's two 500 to 2,000 milligrams per day.
Mm,
But the usual amount that I recommend is about 500.
all right, no problem. Thank you.
500 is normally enough.
So I heard once that the recommended dose on the bottles or the containers
Hmm.
that we see are for those who are healthy. And for
Hmm.
those who would want to get there, they most times would have to double it, and after a time, they can go down to what is recommended on the content.
That is fine. The thing about it is turmeric is a pretty safe um, you know, um, supplement to use because it's really a food, you know. And when you're making your curry chicken or your curry chickpeas or nobody's going to be counting how much milligrams you're gonna have. So
Hmm.
that is quite fine. You can use more. It's quite safe.
Okay,
It's
I wasn't
unlikely that
talking about
you're gonna
only
be.
turmeric, the
Mhm.
others as well.
Well, um, you mean the other like magnesium and so on, and the
Yes,
it's best
berberine
it's,
and stuff.
it's best to start low first because some persons don't tolerate some of these supplements. So
Okay.
I would say start low to make sure that you're tolerating before you go to a higher dose.
So
And you
start
make
with
sure
the
that you do.
recommendation.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Right.
then you see if it can go higher.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So this particular um presentation is a little technical. Let me just warn you. And you may want to read it through again. As I said, the blog is on the website because you may get lost in this one. This one is a bit technical, right? The color counting. So if you have any questions, you just stop me and I'll explain. This is the last PowerPoint that we have, right? Um, so um, so calorie counting is very, very important. It basically helps you to it helps to show you how many calories that you should be having in a particular day, right? Now, calorie restriction is one of those interventions that this alone can put your body into remission. So it's a very, very important part of the remission process, right? Um, so it's important to learn how to count the calories because you can cut your calories unless you know how much calories you're consuming. You understand? So if I tell a person you need to cut your calories to 1,500 per day, what is that? You would know. So you have to learn how to count the calories before you can put this intervention in place, right? So it helps you to keep your blood sugar down and it helps to reduce inflammation and it also helps to balance your intestinal bacteria as well. So it is a very good intervention in terms of getting you to remission, right? Cutting your calories also helps to reduce weight, which is an important part of remission because as we have discussed, just getting your weight down to a certain level can help the person to get into remission. So calorie restriction is very important in getting remission achieved. Now, how do you count your calories? Right? Now, if you're dealing with packaged food, if you notice that a lot of foods that you have are already packaged by whatever company, and they'll tell you how many calories they are. So you can look at the label, look at the nutritional label, right? And it can tell you, um, you know, what how many calories are in a particular serving, right? So when you look at the label, you'll see um, you'll see how many calories it is per serving, right? You'll see that information. You'll also see how many servings are in each package. So you may see it has a particular package has 5 servings, right? And you may see, and then you see how many calories that you get in each serving. You'll also it will tell you how many or what portion of the package will be a serving size. So you, for example, if you have, let us say it is nuts that you're having. So it says 20 nuts make up a serving, right? It will also tell you how many servings are inside that bag. And the nutritional label will also tell you how many calories in those 20 nuts, right? So when you have that information now, you're going to do some calculation, right? So if you look and you say how many calories per serving, that's 100 calories per serving. So you put on 100, as you can see in the example here. Just a minute there. So if you see here, anybody see my laser point? You see my laser point?
Yes, sir. 100
Okay.
calories per serving.
Right. So it says 100 calories per serving. Right. So you have that information from the package. Then you, let us say, if you're going to consume all of what is in that bag, let us say it's a small bag, a small whatever it is, you're going to have all of it. And there are 4 servings in each package, right? In the package of that food. Then you're going to multiply the 4 by the 100 and end up with 400 calories. So what you have consumed, if you have all of the package, you're going to be consuming 400 calories. But let us say you're going to have half of it. You're going to have 2 servings from out of the package. That means that you're going to have 2 servings, right? So you're going to multiply the 2 by the 100 and you get 200 calories, right? So this is if you are working with a packaged food which contains that nutritional information on it. Everybody understand that? So this is for one item of food that we're looking at. One item of food. So if you're going to be having several different items of food which are packaged with nutritional labels, then you do this for each one to know how many calories you're going to be consuming for that meal. Everybody understand that?
Yes, sir.
I've seen on like the little almanac that you guys have, and they would read and they would say don't eat more than 10.
Mm-hmm.
So that meaning to say is that if you go over 10, probably you're eating too much. 10
Yes.
per day. Not
If
eat
they are
more than 10 per day.
If they are saying that, but of course you can eat more than 10 almonds per day. But just as an example.
Yeah,
right. So because the thing is, some foods may contain a lot of a particular nutrient. For example, some foods may have a lot of fat in it. So you may not want it to have more than the recommended amount in that case, because you may get too much of a particular nutrient, which may have other implications. Right?
Okay.
All right. All right. So, all right, this part now is a little more technical, right? So let us say you bought some green bananas and you want to know how much calories is in 3 bananas, right? Or 2 bananas, right? So you're going to be measuring, you have to get a food scale for that, right? You have to get a food scale that can give you an accurate weight. So you're going to get a food scale, or if it's a liquid, you're going to use a measuring cup, right? So you're going to get the weight or the volume of that food by using the food scale or the measuring cup. Then you're going to take your phone or your computer and you're going to look up the caloric density for that food. Right? You're going to get the caloric density for that food. So let us say you're having some sweet potato. Right? You're going to look online for the caloric density of this sweet potato. Right? And then you're going to multiply the weight of the food or the volume by the caloric density. Now, when you look at the caloric density, you may see that it says that that the caloric density of sweet potato has 80 calories per 100 grams of food. Right? Per 100 grams of food. So you're going to multiply the 70, that is the amount of sweet potato that you're going to have, the 70 grams after your weight, you get 70 grams. You're going to multiply the 80 by the 80, multiply the 70 by the 80, and then you divide by the 100. Right? You divide by the 100, because usually when you get the caloric density, it's going to tell you the amount of calories per a certain weight. That is usually about 100 grams. So you're going to divide by this 100 that you see here. So you multiply this 70 by the 80 and then divide by 100. That is your calculator, or you can do it in head if you want. And you get this amount here. So this is the amount of calories that you're going to be getting from having 70 grams of sweet potato. Is that clear? Anybody don't understand it?
It is clear, doctor, but we don't measure sweet potato by gram. We measure it by pound.
No, well, based on what you are going to be, if you go online and you find the caloric density in grams, then you have to use grams. If you don't see it in pounds, you can't use the pounds.
But so if I buy a pound of sweet potato and I want to use it, how do I calculate it based on the grams and density and weight and what have you? How do I do that?
Well, if you're going to be converting, you know, the pounds to grams, what you do is you multiply by you put it in ounces. You put the pounds in ounces, and then you multiply by 2.5. Right? To get the weight in grams. Yeah. So you could do that. All right. So the next thing, you can get this information, you know, by using these resources, the MyFitnessPal, the Chronometer. These are apps that you can use on your phone. Hold on. I missed something. So let's check something here. Okay. All right. Just trying to check something. All right. So these are some resources that you can use to find out about the caloric density and also the caloric quantity of the different foods you have. MyFitnessPal, Chronometer, and you can also use artificial intelligence. You know, one thing that I've done, there is a artificial intelligence feature on WhatsApp called Meta AI, which you can use to work out how many calories are in your food by putting in the weight. So it can actually give you that information without you doing the calculation. So it makes your life much simpler. So you just check the weight, and then you ask the artificial intelligence, either ChatGPT or Meta AI, whichever one. There are many different ones, Gemini and all that. Just say how many calories are in this amount. You may not even have to convert it to grams. You can just put in the pounds, but you better to use ounces, because ounces are a small unit. So you say you have 8 ounces of sweet potato. How many calories are in this? All right. So it makes your life much easier. You can use these tools and get that information if you want. So rather than doing the calculation, just put it into your computer and let the computer do your work for you, or your phone. You got that? Everybody got that? All right. So the next part of it now is to calculate how many calories you are going to be consuming on a daily basis, right? So again, this can be a bit complicated, but you can keep it simple. And what you can do, rather than doing this calculation, you can say, okay, you can set an amount of calories that you're going to be consuming, right? So as I said, 1,500 calories per day is what you would normally recommend. You can fine-tune it to yourself, but that's the general amount that you're going to be working towards. 1,500 calories, or it can be lower depending on how quickly you want to move forward. The lower your caloric intake per day is, the faster you're going to be achieving diabetes remission. So the range that you can choose is anywhere between 800 to 1,500 per day, right? So rather doing the calculation of how many calories you're going to have, just set the amount of calories that you're going to use rather than calculating it, right? And I'll just repeat this when we finish. Now, when you cut the calories that you're going to be having, you're going to be actually inducing a type of fast, right? You're going to actually put your body through a kind of fast when you cut your calories. And as I said, fasting can actually help you to achieve remission and lose weight and all that, right? So that is how it works, right? It works by putting your body into a type of fasting state, right? So what I'm saying, cutting your calories helps to put your body into a type of fasting state. That is how it works, right? And you'd want to make adjustments based on the results that you are getting, right? So you may find that you may cut your calories to 1,700 calories, and you find that it's not enough. You may need to cut it some more, right? If you're overweight and you're trying to achieve remission, if you have cut your calories enough, then you should be seeing some reduction in your weight. So if you have on excessive weight and you have diabetes and you're working towards remission, whatever you're doing should cause you to lose weight. So if you cut your calories to a certain amount and you're not losing weight, it means that you may not achieve remission on that amount of calories. So you may need to cut it some more. So if you set it at 1,700, you may say that's not enough. You cut it down to 15 or down to 13. So you make adjustments based on your results. So if after 2 weeks of being on this program, you're not seeing any reduction in your weight, you need to cut it some more. You understand? Is that clear?
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, so we're going to get into this technical aspect of it now, right? So first thing that you want to do is to calculate your ideal body weight, right? Calculate your ideal body weight. We spoke about this last time, that your body weight, if you're going to be using your body weight to calculate the amount of calories that you have, but you cannot use your actual weight if you're overweight. If you're 5'7" and you're 200 pounds, then you can't use the 200 pounds as your ideal weight. You have to find your height. You have to look at your height, and then you use that to calculate what your ideal body weight is. Now you have to be familiar with this thing called a body mass index, right? Your body mass index, right, is basically you get your weight in kilograms, and you find your height in meters. You multiply your height by itself. In other words, you square the measurement of your height. Let's just say your height is 1.2 meters or 1.5 meters. You multiply that 1.5 by itself, right? You get probably about 2.25 thereabouts, right? So then you divide your weight. Let us say your weight is 80 kilograms, right? And your height is and then the squaring of your height gives you 2.25 meters square. You divide your weight by your meter squared. Your meter squared is when you multiply your height in meters by itself. As I said, like the 1.5, let's just say 1.5 meters, you multiply 1.5 by 1.5. And then you divide your weight by that figure to get your body mass index. All right, that is your body mass index. You can look this up online to get a better understanding, so you know what your body mass index is. Now, when you do that calculation, your body mass index should be in the range of between 20 to 25, right? 20 to 25, right? So then you'd want to select what body mass index you're going to be working towards. If you are, as I said, if you're 5'7" and you're 200 pounds, your body mass index is not going to be in this range. It's going to be higher than that, right? Body mass index, the normal range is between 20 to 25. Between 25 to 30, that is overweight, and over 30 is obese, right? So if you're obese, then you'd want to get your weight down to the normal, which is between 20 and 25. Now, it's usually best to aim for about 22 thereabouts. Now, the BMI goal will partially depend on what race you are. If you are Caucasian or black, then 24 should be okay. But if you're Asian, like Indian or Chinese, then you may want to go to a lower body mass index of 22, because you find that 24, 25 may not be adequate for those races, right? So, so if you're Asian, Indian, Chinese, then 22 is the goal that you want to work towards as your body mass index, all right? So let me show you now how you're going to get your ideal body weight, right? So you're going to get your height, as I said, right? Your height, if you can see my pointer here, and let us say your height is 1.8 meters. You're going to work towards a body mass index of 22. You see the 22 here. So this is the orange line. I don't know if you can see the colors. You're going to go up from the 1.8 and see where the 1.8 line crosses the orange line, right? It crosses the orange line at about 70 kilograms, right? So, in other words, if you are 1.8 meters in height and you want to achieve and if you want to work towards a body mass index of 22, then your ideal weight should be 70 kilograms. And it is the 70 kilograms that you're going to use to do your calculation. Anybody confused so far? Anybody's confused? Tell me. Okay.
No,
Right.
it seems that the goal is that you should know what your ideal BMI should be.
Right. So your ideal, your right. So your BMI should be within that range.
Right.
Okay, good. All right, so let us move on. Next thing you're going to do is work out your daily caloric intake. Right? Your daily caloric intake. What is the regular amount for that is supposed to be having, right? And this depends on many factors, such as if a person is very active, they will do an outdoor job, then their caloric intake is going to be different from a person who has an indoor job where they sit at a desk all day, right? It's going to be different if you are sick. It's going to be different if you're pregnant. So your daily caloric intake will vary from one person to the next, right? But for the purpose of calculation, we're going to work out, like for a sedentary person, right? For a sedentary person, right? So having calculated your ideal body weight or worked with your ideal body weight, you're going to multiply that ideal body weight by 35, right? By 35. And of course, as I said, this information is on the blog. You can look at it whenever you're ready, right? You may not be able to remember everything that I'm saying. You can access the information on the blog, and you'll also be able to access this video in the school platform when I'm finished with it, right? So you calculate the multiplication of your body weight times 35. So for a person with 70 kilograms, they require about 2,500 calories per day, right? If their ideal body weight is 70 kilograms, right? This is your regular amount. This is not for a person who is trying to achieve remission. This is for a regular person who is not trying to achieve remission. This is the amount of calories that they're supposed to have. This is a maintenance intake that we're talking about. But remember, we're looking at restriction. So this is not what you're going to advise the person to be using. This is just to guide you to the actual amount that you're going to be working towards. Right. So we're going to look at now how to calculate the restricted calorie intake. So this is what they're actually going to be using as your goal for your caloric intake. So if you're trying to achieve remission or weight loss, you're going to aim for 70% of the regular amount. This is the regular amount. This is your this is your maintenance amount, and this is what for a person who is not trying to achieve remission. Right? This is what you're going to work towards. This is what that person will use if they are not trying to achieve remission or if they have achieved remission already. Right? but you're going to try to achieve remission, so you're going to have to cut down the amount of calories by a certain amount. So you're gonna aim for about 70% of the maintenance amount. So 7% of that 2,500, or this figure is 2,450. So 7% of this is 1,700 calories. Well, let me just make sure you understand what I'm saying. If you're 70 kilogram, if your ideal body weight is 70 kilograms per day, and you're working towards remission, then your calorie restriction is, in other words, the amount of calories that you should be aiming for the entire day is about 1,700 calories. This is what is going to help you to get to remission, not the 2,500. The 1,700 is what you're going to use to work towards remission. Right? How are you going to distribute those calories now? You're going to have 60% of your calories at breakfast. So this is about 1,000 calories for your breakfast and about 700 for the next meal. So 40% at breakfast, 60% at breakfast, 40% at your lunch or supper, whatever you want to call it. So this is what you're going to distribute the calories. 1,000 for your breakfast, 700 for your lunch or supper. Right? So if you're going to work out, so this calculation is for persons who want to get their exact amount. But if you don't want to go through this calculation, just tell yourself that you're going to work towards 1,500 calories. That is the amount that has been scientifically shown to work to help you towards remission. 1,500 calories. Or you can say you're going to work towards 1,200 calories. Then you don't have to go through all this calculation. Just set a target for yourself. My daughter wants to be involved in the training. I hope you don't mind her giving her input. Right. So that is the last presentation. This was a long session. I hope I didn't lose anybody. Anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and ask, or you can also send me any questions that you have if you don't understand, if everything is not clear. You can, as I said, this information is in the blogs on my website, drdouglasstreet.com. There's a blog that deals with calculating your caloric intake. You can read through it. You might need to read through it again so you can understand it. But as I said, you don't have to do all those calculations that I just spoke about, right? But just learn how to calculate the caloric intake, the caloric amount in your food. And then you can set yourself a goal and don't do all those calculations. If you want to, if you're working with somebody who is, let's just say you're working with a very tall person, a person who is 6'5", you may not really want to just choose a caloric restricted amount for a person like that, a person who is very big and bulky. This is for the average person. For the average person, you can choose the 1,500 calories. But if you're working with somebody who is very small, let's just say you're working with somebody who is 5 feet or 4 feet 10. In that case, you would not want to be just picking a caloric goal. You want to calculate that person's caloric goal. But a person who is a regular average person, you can use the 1,500. But for persons are extreme, either very big or very small person, you'd want to do a calculation for that person. And of course, you may want to get some guidance from me in that case to see how many calories that person should be getting per day. Any questions? This is a long session, my apologies, but I said this is a lot of information, which is why I was saying to you before, make sure you go through the information because it takes a while to go through all the information, and I don't want to be focusing on any presentation. Then for the next session, we're going to just focus on questions that you may have, techniques, approaches. That's what we're going to be doing next session. So I wanted to get through. That's why I tried to get through all this before, so we can focus on that aspect of it the next time around. Do you have any questions now that you want to share? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I'm happy that you guys joined. It's really a pleasure for me to share with you. And let me Yeah, I see there's a question in the chat about Gemnema Sylvester. I know that it's a good one, but there's one concern I have about that particular one, which is why I did not include it in it. That if you look in the chat, you'll see it from Angela Marsh. The one little concern I have about that particular supplement is that it comes from an endangered plant. And that is why I didn't really include it. I don't want to encourage any further consumption of that plant because of it. It's a slow growing plant and it is endangered. And so if persons are encouraged to use it, then you might increase the chance of it going extinct. So that's why I didn't include that one. But it is a good supplement as well, to be used for controlling blood sugar. Yes, Sister Karen, what you can speak. Yes, Sister Karen, I'm just see your hand. I'm not hearing from.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I was looking for the chat. Sorry.
Okay. Problem. All right. So, any questions before we go? Okay. All right. So, thank you very much for joining. This recording is going to be on the school platform as well. So, you can look through it again if you wish. You can also look through the information on the blogs on the website. Is there anybody who's having any difficulty accessing those blogs? Mr. Fletcher?
Yes, I had a question in the chat. While we were talking about the different type of vitamins, I asked if you could take a multivitamin, just one tablet with all the vitamins instead of taking the different vitamins.
All right, so multivitamins, I've not seen any evidence that multivitamins helps with diabetes remission. It will contain small amounts of some of the vitamins that I recommend, like the vitamin D and the vitamin B. So you can use it for that purpose. But as I said, these vitamins do not really help you with diabetes remission per se, but they may help to prevent you from becoming diabetic, the vitamin D. The thing is, the amounts of vitamin D that I usually recommend, which is 2,000 or 1,000, you don't usually find that amount in the multivitamins, right? So I usually recommend specific vitamins rather than multivitamins. So vitamin B or vitamin C or vitamin D, I usually recommend them by themselves. I don't usually recommend multivitamins per se.
Okay, thank you.
Right. No problem.
And for the vitamin B12, do you?
Yes, vitamin B12 is something that it's a little bit. I don't know if I want to use the word controversial, but different people have different opinions. I still recommend to persons who are going on a vegan diet to use a B12 vitamin. Right, okay. B12 is not something that you normally find in, and that's a very good question. I'm glad you brought that up. B12 is not something that you normally find in plants. So usually recommend a person who is changing to a vegan diet should take vitamin B12. Some vegans have said that they don't use it and they're fine. But I still think it's a good idea for you to take it. The thing about vitamin B12 is that there's a lot of B12 stored in your body. So you won't notice any problems initially. It may take you a year or more before your body runs out of the vitamin B12 that it has stored. So I think it's a good idea for you to take it. It's not going to harm you for you to take a supplement of it. So to be on the safe side, I would recommend that you use a B12 vitamin for a person who is who's going to switch over to a vegan diet, which is the one that I recommend.
And the vitamin B12, which is the preferred one? The one, the sublingual, or the one that you take?
To be honest, the sublingual one would actually be useful for persons who are having problems absorbing it. There are some persons who actually have meat in their diet and they're still low on vitamin B12, right? So for those persons, it is because there is a part of the intestine or there's a particular substance that the body may not be making to absorb it. So only for persons who are having that problem, those are the persons who may need to take it sublingual. But on a routine supplementation, they can take it orally. It doesn't. I don't think it matters to the majority of persons.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. Thank you so much for the extra time. And I hope that these sessions have been very useful. I hope it's not too much information. But let me just say that that with all information that you guys have gotten, this topic cannot be exhausted. This topic cannot be exhausted. I have not exhausted this topic. Right? So the more you understand is the better you're able to explain things to persons. The book actually has in more details about some of these factors. We have not touched on medication. We're not going to touch on medications. The book has information about medications. It has information about the probiotics, more information about the probiotics. So I still encourage you to get the book, right? All the different resources that I've recommended to you, they are good at certain areas and but they may not be good on others. So that's why you have all this information. The book, you don't get as much of the specific information about diabetes from the book. That's why the sessions was created. The session was actually made specifically for diabetes. The book will contain general information about the diet and so on, right? But it has some information which we will not touch during these sessions, which is important. So make sure that you get it. The blogs also have important information, but we have spoken about most of it during this particular session, so you should be able to cover that. And of course, as I said to you before, the recording of this session is going to be on the school chat. We're also going to have, each blog is going to have its own video as well, right? So that one is going to be put into the school platform separately also. They have all that information to access. And of course, recommend that you make use of them. Thank you very much,
Dr.
Anna.
Street,
Yes,
Dr. Street, just before you go, sometimes I go on school and it's asking me for credit card number or stuff like that.
Depends on what link you're using. If you make sure that you use the link that we recommend most recently, right?
Okay,
and I'll just yes, you can go ahead.
I use that link and I have the app on my phone. So when I use what I notice when I use the link that you send, I don't have that issue. But if I want to access it quickly and go use the app, that's what the app is telling me.
Okay. Well, I'll ask Robert to address that. But once you use the link that we use, that we sent to you, then you should have that problem. If you find that you have the issue with your phone, then use it on your computer.
All right, no problem. I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Now, one last thing I just want to mention to you. I want us to be aware that all this information that I'm sharing with you, it came at a cost, right? Came at a cost. I want you to keep that in mind. This information that I'm sharing with you, I did not get this information free. You can imagine how much time it would take to get all this information together. This information is a culmination of years and specific research. I want you to understand that this is not information that it's not information that I just collected along the way. It's information that I specifically spent years to put together. Right? Now, I want to encourage persons, and I'm going to put this in the in the chat as well that up until the end of this month, persons who are doing the training are going to be able to access the school platform without cost to you. And let me just say as well, the school platform also comes as a cost to me. I have to pay for it. It's not free. It's a monthly subscription which I have to pay. All right. Persons who are accessing the training will be able to access the information, access this platform free of cost until the end of this month. Right. After that, anybody who signs on, whether a trainee or not, it will be a monthly subscription. And part of the reason for that is for persons to take this process seriously. So if you're serious about it, then you won't have a problem with making payment for it. All right, we are putting this information together. As I said, it's by no means free to me. So we want to ensure that persons who are going to be working with are taking this process seriously, and that is something that actually helps. I'm sharing this with you because I'm going to be working with you, and I believe in transparency. All right, I believe in transparency. So persons who have not yet joined the school platform, please go ahead and do so, because this information that I'm sharing with you will not be free after the end of this month. So make use of the opportunity and ensure that others, have access to, can benefit from the knowledge that you will have gained from this information that I've shared with you. Okay. I said I believe in transparency, so I just want to share that with you. All right. All right. So have a good evening, and we'll meet again for the last teaching session next week, and we will discuss some other issues with diabetes remission. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy your Sunday dinner if you haven't had it as yet.